Monetarists center their analysis on the so-called equation of exchange, MV equals PT, which in its most precise version is simply a tautology, or an identity that states that the total amount spent in the economic system coincides with the total amount received. On the left side, MV, M refers to the quantity of money or the money supply, and V is a statistical concept, the average velocity of circulation of the monetary unit. That is, on average, the number of times the monetary unit changes hands. So, the left side of the equation, the amount of money received by all economic agents, is equal to the right side, the amount spent, which should be the sum of the price of each good times the quantity purchased of each good. However, the version with the sum has been replaced by this simplified version. MV equals PT. M is the quantity of money in circulation. V is the velocity of circulation of money. P is a statistical measure of the evolution of the general price level, a measure of how the general price level is doing. And T is an aggregate of the quantities of goods and services exchanged in the year. This version, which has prevailed, is a mathematical absurdity. What does it mean to multiply the general price level by an aggregate? Hey, what aggregate? It is impossible to add up apples, pears, cars and buildings. This equation is simply a formula, which imperfectly reflects an idea that has a grain of truth. And from a scientific standpoint, the formula very perversely conceals what is most important in economics. The grain of truth lies in the fact that if V and T are constant, then when the quantity of money rises, the general price level rises. That much is true, but we need to make a qualification. If the quantity of money increases and everything else remains the same, it is not that prices rise. It is that the purchasing power of the monetary unit falls. The formula simply shows this as an increase in the general price level, and statisticians work hard to record and measure that increase. Nevertheless, the most serious issue in what this formula leaves out, for it gives the impression that when the quantity of money increases by a certain amount, if all the other parameters remain the same, there is a proportional increase in prices. And this is a very dangerous idea, because what happens in real life is radically different. When money is created, it is never distributed equally among the different economic agents, as Hume first assumed in his article on money, in which he asks readers to imagine that all British people woke up one morning to find the cash balances in their pockets had doubled, and he concludes that no real effects would be produced. Friedman later copied this idea when he spoke of a helicopter drop. A helicopter comes and distributes money equally among all citizens. On the contrary, when money is created, and this is precisely why it is created, it is injected into the economic system in certain very specific places or gaps, and relatively few people initially receive the new monetary units. That purchasing power enables them to buy numerous goods and services at prices that do not yet reflect the impact of the monetary injection, while the rest of the citizens see prices gradually rise. That is, they see the purchasing power of their monetary units fall before any of the new money has reached their pockets. There is a process of massive income redistribution. Above all, it is a process which completely disrupts the structure of relative prices. Certain goods are the first to receive the impact of the money creation, and thus their prices increase more, while others do not increase, or do so at a slower pace. I'm not talking about something like a rise in a swimming pool's surface, the general price level, but rather a revolution that dramatically changes the structure of relative prices. Some prices go up faster than others. Specifically, in the context of the cycle, we have already seen which prices rise faster than the rest, and also at what moment in time. Do you remember what happened when credit expansion occurred? When money was injected, what happened? Initially, the price of the factors of production shot up. A few people, entrepreneurs, received the money from the credit expansion, and with that new purchasing power, they demanded productive factors. Labor, capital equipment, the services of the factors of production, of the original factors, etc. The prices of those goods rose much more than the rest, along with the prices of the corresponding securities in the stock market, while no other prices went up. Later, we saw that after a time lag, In a second, third or fourth stage, that money eventually reached the pockets of consumers, who had not altered the proportion in which they decided to consume and save, and so they used their new monetary power to purchase consumer goods. We also saw that a temporary increase in the price of consumer goods followed, and that this increase was more than proportional to the prior increase in the price of capital goods, and that these increases, along with the Ricardo effect, etc., reversed all of the consequences of expansion we had studied. In addition, we saw subsequent growth in the price of present goods in terms of future goods. The interest rate. In short, we saw the 6 essential microeconomic effects which inevitably lead to the market's discovery of the investment errors committed by entrepreneurs, when the essential signals that guide them in their investments are distorted by the banking process of credit expansion. And this entire process, in which we find sudden and successive changes in the relative prices of different goods, capital goods, consumer goods, the interest rate, is altogether eliminated from the analysis by the monetarist's equation of exchange. Since this equation focuses solely on the money supply, the velocity of money, the general price level, and the quantity or supposed aggregate of real goods purchased, the most monetarists can understand by this formula is that if the quantity of money rises, prices rise as well. But which prices rise initially, and at what moment? And which prices rise later are facts excluded from the analysis, and therefore monetarists are unable to grasp the whole theory of the cycle. To monetarists, financial crises and economic recessions are a profound mystery. They explain them merely in terms of supposed external shocks or a money squeeze, that is, the central bank's sudden failure to inject enough money to prevent such a money squeeze, under the so-called plucking model. However, they lack a theory of capital, and they fail to understand what goes on in the economy.